Irish guy, and do you hear that delicious, wonderful sound? No, it's not the sound of an angel flapping its wings. No, it's not even the sound of Prince Harry smacking his head off a lamppost. No, it is the glorious music of hearing football hipsters spewing sick all over their lap. Not even chucking on an episode of The Queen's Gambit whilst chewing Moroccan garlic bread will get them out of this one, because right now, their entire belief system must be ripped apart. A bit like chucking a chicken into a lion's den. Chelsea have had loads of managers, yes. But I mean, if there's one thing they can count on, if there's one menial task they're able to take care of, it's beating Fulham. I mean, lads, it's like a wife having gone through 9 different husbands. Sure, I mean, many of them were deadbeat, incompetent sleazebags, just begging for a divorce. But I mean, at least they've never done something so stupid, like burning down the house whilst trying to make a cup of tea. Because for Chelsea, beating Fulham is usually about as simple as making toast. 1 defeat against Fulham in the last 40 meetings, stretching all the way back to 1979. The last time Fulham beat Chelsea, they had Brian McBride up front. Yeah, he's now halfway to 100 years of age. It was a long time ago for a Chelsea manager to fail to win at Craven Cottage. It must be about as embarrassing as Eminem getting up on stage and just spending an hour nervously hiccuping into the mic. Fulham won, and even Willian scored. Chelsea have had 1 win in the last 9 league games. It's the first time they've been dumped out of both domestic cups in the first round since 1989. This is 6 defeats in 8. Their worst run of form since December 1993. The Graham Potter hype, it's because he's English. Can you imagine if Marco Silva was born in Swindon? A former success at Sporting Lisbon and Olympiacos, who's got experience in the Champions League, and who, yeah, plays a slick brand of football. Oh yeah, and I mean, for all the grannies out there, I mean, Potter looks like if Gareth Southgate walked into a tree. Silva looks like a young Colin Farrell from In Bruges. If he was English, he would have the Potter hype in the media. I know he would. Right now, I feel like I'm shaking a coma patient by the shoulders, but please, everyone, can you all just wake up now? Honestly, I feel like Simba talking to his dad, because the lore of an English coach doing bits at Brighton, it was almost like he put a spell on your country. It was like this was the plot for Hocus Pocus 3. And because I'm Irish, am I the only one who didn't fall for the media's magic trick?
Because I am going to make the case that Graham Potter is not only massively underrated, but he's arguably the best manager in the Premier League. And look, people say, well, he could just be another Eddie Howe. He's not another Eddie Howe. Eddie Howe wasn't playing this sort of football at Bournemouth. Newcastle should have gone for Potter. You know, he could be another Bobby Robson.
Another Bobby Robson? What? I'm sorry, but for Sir Bobby Robson's documentary, you know the royalty who turned up to be interviewed? Jose Mourinho, Pep Guardiola, Alan Shearer, Ronaldo. You wouldn't get that sort of all-star cast even turning up to David Beckham's birthday party. I mean, who's gonna be in a Potter doc? Danny Welbeck and Lewis Dunk? Sir Bobby Robson was a legit superstar coach. To me, Potter, he's not even yet in the same league as peak Alan Pardew. You know, the guy who reached FA Cup finals with both West Ham and Crystal Palace, and who finished 5th with Newcastle, a Newcastle team with Danny Simpson at right back. There is a massive shortage of English coaches right now. Crazy enough, in March of last year, 442 ranked the 10 best England managers. Yeah, when the coach of Wycombe Wanderers is sneaking into this list, you know things are grim. I mean, Dean Smith was ranked 9th and just lost his job at Norwich. Number 8 is managing in the MLS. Chris Wilder is 6th, and yet linked with the League One job at Portsmouth. While Sean Dyche, apparently the 3rd best English manager in the world. Yeah, I think actual football chairman just look at him like Fred Flintstone with a beard, because nobody wants to give him a job. So obviously Potter is going to look slick, like football's answer to James Bond. Because yeah, most English coaches have all the tactics of stale banana bread. I mean, if Frank Lampard does get the Everton chop, then 50% of this list will have been sacked within a year of them publishing this list. And they say I'm a curse? Thomas Tuchel was appointed Chelsea boss in January 2021. And Hamill of Football Daily tweeted that Potter was better. I've reminded him of this tweet this week, and I'm beginning to know what it feels like to be J.K. Rowling. Because these Potter fans, oh, they're an angry bunch.
Your inability to learn from past mistakes is almost impressive, the Irish guy. Potter proved the doubters wrong once, he'll do it again.
Right, okay, interesting. Sweet, sounds about as delusional as Conor McGregor tweeting about how he's going to win back his belts, but okay, fine.
Try forming an opinion that isn't based on garnering likes from angry 14-year-olds.
Are you all angry at 14? Hamill sounds angry. I mean, as soon as I tweeted this, Hamill probably threw a cup of tea at his cat. But then again, we shouldn't be surprised by this guy's Potter love, considering Football Daily, they look like they're you're in a Potter film. Honestly, if this pair doesn't scream Gryffindor, I don't know what does. Do these guys also follow Hermione into the toilet? I'm half convinced Chelsea only decided to hire Potter based off John Terry summer tweets.
How good is Graham Potter? I love how Brighton play, and he has to be one of the best young managers around. Ticks every box for me.
Yeah, I would imagine right now, watching this shaved Viking destroy your Champions League winning squad, Terry must be wanting to delete Twitter off his phone. Do you see what you've done? You literally had Thomas Tuchel in the dugout, and you were planning for another coach? Then again, why are we surprised? Terry was probably already eyeing up barmaids on his honeymoon. I think Potter beating Manchester United on the opening day of the season, that is a lot to answer for. Because David Moyes did exactly that 10 years earlier, and guess what? Was then given a monster job. Beating Manchester United on the opening weekend of the Premier League, it does something. Okay? People start looking at you as if you're Britney Spears.
One of the best managers in the world. This is not an exaggeration. Graham Potter is world class. Brighton are a joy to watch.
What? Even when he was given the Chelsea job, football nerds seemed to rejoice, thinking this was validation, that they finally won the battle.
Well then, to think people laughed when Pep Guardiola said Graham Potter is the best English manager.
Okay, Lewis Steele, look me in the face and tell me, oh tell me, that Potter is a better coach than Eddie Howe. You know, the guy who took over a team bottom of the Premier League and instantly earned 72 points in 2022. The guy who's now taken Newcastle into the first cup semi-final since 2005.
Oh, but he's an English coach who actually went abroad.
Taking weird jobs abroad does not instantly make you a world-class coach. Roy Hodgson, the guy who coached Halmstad BK, Malmo, Neuchâtel Xamax, a Swiss club which just sounds like a brand of Iraq's medicine. Yeah, he had 2 spells at Inter Milan. Great. But then it was back to Grasshoppers, Copenhagen, Viking, and Finland. That's a lot of weird hipster experience, and I'm sure it helped him write a great novel. But did it help him when he was given a massive job? No. He was a disaster for both Liverpool and England. I mean, after getting beaten off Iceland, he just looked like a confused old man who probably tries to eat Weetabix with a fork. Does it not give you a clue that Potter was not a Chelsea face when he admitted that he had never been to a Champions League match, even as a fan? You're appointing a guy with less European experience than Fogden. The hype for Potter was ridiculous. I mean, what? What did he actually do at Brighton, other than getting 21 1-1 draws? Because Howe began life at Bournemouth, battling to stay in League 2. By the time he was done, after a brief Burnley fling, he'd kept them in the Premier League for half a decade. Although, yeah, that brief Burnley stint sort of stains things. It's like if Lionel Messi briefly dumped his childhood sweetheart for 6 months just to get off with Susan Boyle's twit. But Potter, he never got Brighton or Swansea promoted, nor did he get them into Europe.
Not even Thor or Gandalf would get Brighton into the Europa League.
Oh, that's funny because Roberto Martinez qualified Wigan Athletic for the Europa League. Even Millwall played in Europe with Dennis Wise as player coach. And I think we all know he's got the tactics of lemon cake. Birmingham City were playing in Europe with Chris Hughton at the wheel. You know, the guy whose job Potter stole. We have seen Stoke, Swansea, even Hull City under Steve Bruce play in the Europa League. 4 years ago, Burnley were in that competition. Burnley! Lads, not only did a managerial donut like Steve McLaren take Middlesbrough into Europe, but he took them to the Europa League final and won them a League Cup. But yeah, took them into an elite dressing room filled with world-class senior pros, and soon his tactics looked about as clever as the plot of Geordie Shore. Lads, this isn't me picking on some amateur coach trying to cut his teeth at Luton Town. No, I'm sorry. Graham Potter is the most expensive football manager of all time. They paid Brighton £20 million to hire this guy. Listen, I get why a team like Brighton might try to dig their claws in, but lads, look at the rest of the top 10 in this list. Jose Mourinho had literally lifted a treble at Inter Milan and was worshipped by the club. The Inter president would probably sooner have fed his own mum to a chimpanzee at the zoo than let Mourinho walk out the door, but they still only charge Real Madrid £15 million for Mourinho. To be fair, I'm surprised Brendan Rodgers makes the top 10 list twice, and I'm actually baffled how Mark Hughes quitting Blackburn Rovers makes him the 10th most expensive coach of all time. But again, he had done a better job at Blackburn Rovers than Potter ever did at Brighton. I mean, he took over at Ewood Park when they were bottom of the league in 2004. Yeah, but at the end of his first full season, they were 6th. He took them to 2 FA Cup semi-finals, a League Cup semi-final, and a Europa League round of 32. And he got 5 out of 6 wins in the Intertoto Cup. These are actual achievements. And yeah, he still went on to get sacked when he was bottom of the league at QPR before having to spend 5 years at Stoke. And he now manages Bradford City and probably just gets paid in Kit Kats from the vending machine. If he was instead born in London and not Wales, oh, he'd have got the England job. But he's not special. Everyone is acting like Potter is Neo off the Matrix. But I'm telling you, he's no better than Roberto Martinez. I mean, right now everyone is laughing at the fact he's been given the Portugal job. But I'm telling you, while at Wigan, despite losing Premier League games 8-0 and 9-1, his style of football hypnotised the Premier League too, to a point where in 2012 he was being offered the actual Liverpool job. And this was before he won Wigan the FA Cup. But he's been hiding in international football for the last 7 years because we all know, at a Champions League level club, he'll look more out of his depth than a cat in a swimming pool. Well, actually, okay, let me say, for an elite club in the Champions League, trying to win the thing. Because right now, officially, Scott Parker's coaching in the Champions League. Doesn't that just sound wrong? I mean, like if your grandma tells you she's about to compete in a bikini competition, that's a way to make you puke in your turkey dinosaurs. Potter is English, and that's why everybody loves him. But can I remind you all just how quickly you all forgot about Michael Laudrup? This is a guy who succeeded Brendan Rodgers at Swansea, and he was wonderful. This is a low-key, uninspiring appointment at the time because he just failed at both Real Mallorca and Spartak Moscow. But with Swansea, he finished 9th and 12th and won the League Cup playing a brand of Johan Cruyff football when he scored 5 goals in the final. If he was English, he'd have taken the England job. But no, he's Danish and has since scuttled off the Middle East, but crucially, has been out of work for 5 years. And has anyone from the Premier League ever been in touch? No, I mean, he was half-heartedly stuffed on Birmingham City's list 2 years ago. But other than that, the guy is about as relevant as Matt LeBlanc. Graham Potter is already under massive pressure. This is not how elite managers act. The guy is whining in press conferences, calling this the hardest job in football. I'm sorry, you've just signed the 4th most expensive footballer in history on loan. Is he for real? I mean, lads, even Nathan Jones at Southampton has come out fighting, having digs at the manager of Hammond and Waterlooville. I mean, lads, when Jose Mourinho had his Chelsea meltdown in 2015, he still looked at journalists in the eye, puffed out his chest, and was favoured for the sack under incredible pressure. He said,
If the club sack me, they sack the best manager this club has ever had.
yeah, do you think Potter has the confidence to say something like that? This guy used to manage the Leeds uni team. He spent 7 years hiding in the Swedish mountains, probably living in a caravan. He's probably too scared to look Joe Cole in the eye. He doesn't belong at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea need to sack Potter, and his replacement? No, not Mauricio Pochettino. I actually think bring in an interim coach until May. Again, give Luis Enrique a 6-month contract until the end of the season. I mean, he's a trouble-winning manager of Barcelona. Tell him to get Chelsea into the top 4. If he does, give him the permanent job. But if not, then I genuinely believe Chelsea should approach Roma in the summer for Jose Mourinho. Why not? There's a man who's won Premier League titles every time he's been Chelsea boss. Guess what? You've only won it once since he's been sacked. He's won it 3 times for you lot. Forget his little Tottenham fling. Put it in the past. Because right now, he's been offered the job of Brazil. Mourinho, he's still got it. But Potter, this is not it. In that Chelsea dressing room, he's got all the authority of Mickey Mouse. Anyway, that's what let me know in the comment section below. What do you think? Alright, let me know. How do you think Potter is doing at Chelsea? Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to get a like, as always. I'll talk to you in a while.